everyone, my name's Andrew, and this is Canadian Starships. Let's continue building the 650 scale Enterprise D projects. Welcome back to another update on the 650 scale Enterprise D projects. We are making some serious progress. In between updates, I have finalized, for real this time, the metal armature that's going into these ships. Everything has been produced, welded, etc. So I will be showing you all of that in this update. I also have every single window on both of these kits filled with solar res, and I've just got one part, the upper secondary hull section, to mask off. So lots of good progress there. I am so glad to be done filling those windows. There must be thousands of windows that were filled on these kits. Also, I have masks from Motion Picture Miniatures that I will show you, and these masks are for the full 4-color paint scheme. There are some other masks that are coming out, but this one is the 4-color. They are from Wayne at Motion Picture Miniatures. We've been working on those. He was able to get a hold of a kit, which made a huge difference in producing the masks. So I'm excited to have both sets of those. I will show those to you. Also, we have a deadline. That's right, we have a deadline. There's a countdown going on there. That's the Wonderfest countdown. And that is our deadline for this project, because this kit is going to Wonderfest and it is going to be hosted at the inner lighting booth, because we are using the inner lighting set on these projects. So it's going to be hosted there. We're going to be able to show off the lighting system and draw some attention, and that is going to be awesome. So we have 207 days left to build these projects. I know that sounds like a lot of time, but when we're dealing with a project like this that nobody has built before, that we are trailblazing on, and that is this big in scope, and when I'm only able to do it part-time, that's not a lot of time to get the project done. So we're having the countdown there so that I can see just how quickly I need to get the projects done. So we'd better get right at it.
But before we get started, why not take a moment and click the subscribe button? And while you're here, click on that notification bell so you don't miss a single update. If you're thinking about buying a Tesla, you could save $1,000 by ordering using my referral code. Link is in the description below.
So the first thing I want to show you is the armature, and this has taken the majority of the time so far as research and development for the armature for this. Remember, we started out with the resin arm that was provided with the kit, but we don't know if that's going to be able to support everything. I don't want any risk of anything warping, drooping, that kind of thing. So we've put a lot of time and effort into making sure that this thing is going to be well supported. So what I have here on the table is basically what's going to form the entire structure for the model. So we are starting out with the steel plate base. Now, this is the steel plate base that came with the kit originally. If you remember, this was about twice as thick as it was supposed to be. And this was the piece that was supposed to go into the secondary hull to form the sensor array and give some structural rigidity to the kit. But it was twice as thick, it would not work. Helios got a replacement part out pretty quickly, which was great. But I've got these on hand, so what I've done is I've used this to form the basis of the base structure for the Enterprise D. I've taken my copper T and I've had it silver soldered to the base plate. This is going to allow an outlet for the wires coming down from the ship, because you have to make sure that you have to be able to get it out of your post, and this is a really handy dandy way of doing that. So this piece of copper pipe isn't going to be the final thing because this is too short, but this is just making it easy for me to work with. So this is going to go into the copper T. Wiring will come down through the post out here to the control system, which will be the Raspberry Pi from the inner light system. So we have this piece. I am working on reattaching the metal plate to the secondary hull, so it's rather loose at the moment. I had some pretty bad gaps in there, so I'm cleaning out the epoxy, and I'm going to figure out a better way of attaching that. But this goes on here like that, and it's nice and snug, but it can still turn, which is very nice. So this goes on here, and we've got a steel square tube arm coming up. We've also got this metal plate here that it is attached to, which is then tack welded down. Ignore how messy the weld looks. Trust me, it is nice and secure, and I'm not worried about how it looks. We had some issues with the eye protection doing this. It made it hard to see what was going on. We got that solved, but we have welded the steel arm to this metal plate, this metal piece of strip, which is then tack welded down to the metal plate. And it is extra long on the back to give a little bit of extra anchorage to the pylon section and a bit of support for the pylons on the back, rather than just being secured by the seam here, which gives it just that extra bit of safety support, that type of thing. Now we have this aluminum disc, and this came from Send Cut Send. And this piece was originally designed by Wayne over at Motion Picture Miniatures for the Don Shoko kit. You remember that? It's sitting over there, the one that I'm building, because we are putting on the shelf so we can get these ones done. But he designed a plate. I think he did his in acrylic for the structure on the Don Shoko kit. He was kind enough to provide this to Hagen Miller, who then took it and upsized it for the 650 scale Enterprise Ds. And then I was able to get the file from Hagen and send it off to Send Cut Send to have it cut out twice, because we've got the two projects. And then I ended up playing around with it to see how I would get it to attach to the ship. So I have modified it. There used to be a post coming out of here, similar to this one here, and this used to join up. But in order to get the steel post in, I need that out of the way, because as you can see, if I place it here, that makes it a little bit difficult to align. Now I've got two holes drilled in this, and don't worry that it's not centered. These have been hand assembled. These have been hand assembled, and so alignments are not perfect. Trust me, they're not perfect. So it's a little bit off center once it gets into the saucer, but we have aligned this with it all kind of dry assembled. And I have some bolts that will come up through the bottom and connect with the two holes in here, and those will be secured on with some nuts. And then I'm going to be able to hand tighten or loosen to get the perfect alignment on this, so that the saucer, neck, secondary hull are all perfectly aligned. This attachment here, I don't have the bolts on me right now, but they'll come up from the bottom, they'll go through here, the top will be capped with the nut, and I'll just be able to adjust them front, back, and height just to get that perfect alignment, which I think is going to work out really, really well. So that is what we are doing as far as the structure, the armature for this kit. Now this piece is going to be well secured into the lower saucer piece, and that's going to hold the whole saucer really, really well. There's going to be no warping on the saucer section, as there shouldn't be. Only impulse, right? There we go. That is the armature for you. Here are the masks for the 650 scale Enterprise D coming from Motion Picture Miniatures. If you get these, they come in this nice cardboard backed envelope. It does say please do not bend on there. Now I ordered 2 of these sets, so they actually came in a pizza style box, but if you only get one, because most people are only building one of these things, they do come in this envelope, and it's nice that it is cardboard backed. Let me throw this behind me here. So here we have the Motion Picture Miniature masks. Now, these are only for the Aztec detailing. They do not include windows and any other miscellaneous masks that you might want to have. If you are building this kit and you have a cameo, a silhouette cameo, or a silhouette cutter, and you're using Silhouette Studio, I can provide you with window mask files. Multiple files, because for every section I have a new file for the windows. But I can provide those for you. Just contact me, contact@canadianstarships.com, and I will get that information to you. So actually, let's take a look here first to see what is included in the kit. So we have an instructions page, and we have some photos. Now in the photos, you don't see any of the painting because Wayne at Motion Picture Miniatures borrowed a kit from Andy at Inner Lighting so that he could get his hands on the kit to make sure that all of the masks are sized properly. But you do get pictures of the masks on the parts, just not the paint. So we have the instructions, we have some pages that outline what the various parts are, which is nice. So you're not guessing what parts go where. There we go. And we have a placement guide to show you where everything gets placed on the kit, which is very nice. We also are provided with some transfer paper. Very nice. We'll transfer vinyl to help transfer the large sections at once. Then we have the masks themselves. Now, there are 30 A3 size sheets, which are 12 by 17 inches. 30 of these. That's a lot of vinyl. I mean, somebody can do the math. They are 17 inches wide, 12 inches tall, and I'm sure that this was cut. Yeah, this would have been cut off of the 12-inch roll. So 12 inches wide, so 17 inches long, multiply that by 30, and that tells you how long the piece of vinyl from the roll had to be to create this kit. So let's take a quick peek through. Hopefully, you're going to be able to see these on camera, but I'll just talk and I'll quickly show you through all 30 sheets. Now, this kit does the 4 colors on the kit. So you've got your base color, you've got your main Aztec color, and then you've got your 2 additional accent colors. And so you've got your main Aztec patterns on these masks, but then you also get sections, and I'll see if I can find a section here that's really good to demonstrate. This section here, I'm not sure if you can see. It's really hard to see, but these would be accent pieces. Here are some accent pieces where they're more stencils than masks. So you put the whole stencil on and you paint your panels that are the accent colors. And so this does the 4 color scheme. Like I said earlier, there are some other masks that might be coming available, but they will only be for 3 colors, not for 4. So if you want the additional colors, you would have to do those by hand, or you would have to make your own masks for those out of tape, which is not impossible, but it sure does help if you've got the masks available. You can see it's taking quite a while to just very quickly page through all of these masks. We're coming near the end now. Only a few more left. You can see all the sections, and if you want a better look at any of these sections, just pause the video and you'll be able to take a look at those. So that is 30 sheets at 12 inches by 17 inches. That's a lot of vinyl. Now you're asking, how much does this kit cost? Well, there are 2 versions available. There is a simpler version which does simply the 2-color version, which would be accurate for the TV show version of the Enterprise D, where they only had the base coat and the Aztec color. That set runs 50 pounds, British pounds. If you want the full 4-color scheme, 30 sheet Aztec mask, that's gonna run you 130 pounds. Now, that is a lot of money. You can do the translation into your own currency, but keep in mind, that's 30 sheets at 12 by 17, that's a lot of vinyl. And it takes a long time for Wayne to produce one set. So the price reflects just how much it takes to make these vinyl masks. So if you want a set of these for your ship, you can go to motionpictureminiatures.com, contact him there, or you can contact him through Facebook. Search Motion Picture Miniatures on Facebook and you'll find him. That might be the easiest way to contact him. But that's a very quick look at the masks. We will go into more depth with the masks once we actually get them on the ship and are painting. I can't wait to get to the paint stage. I mean, that's probably one of my favorite stages, but we gotta get through the lighting and assembly before we go into the paint stage. I'm gonna be painting this once it's fully assembled. I don't want to have nasty seams that I have to deal with and then paint repair work to do. I want to deal with all my seams at once, give it a final coat of primer, and then get my beauty coats on the ship. So that's the way that we are going to be approaching it. Other people might be doing it differently, but this is the way we're approaching it. Keep in mind, if we were all doing it the same way, you'd have no reason to come and watch my videos and see if this is an option for assembly and building that might work for you. So make sure that you check out everybody's videos who are building this. Currently, I'm aware of Lou Dalmasso at Aztec Dummy who is building it, and I'm aware of Phil at Sprueverse who is building it. If you're building it and you've got videos, let me know because I want to see what everybody else is doing. But that's the way that we're going to be approaching it. So let's move on.
So now it's time for us to talk a little bit about Greebles. In fact, the Enterprise D does have a number of Greebles on the ship. They're not very big, they're not very pronounced, but I noticed them when I took a deep dive into the reference photos. These reference photos are provided by Todd at Marvel Phoenix, and you can access his site for the Enterprise D build, the fan home one, at myenterprised.com. So let's take a quick look to see what kind of Greebles we need to reproduce on this ship. And in this first picture, right where my mouse is, you can see that there is a tiny little detail. It's just a little rectangle with 3 holes in it. You may notice that there's another up here. Underneath the 1 for the registry number, there are 6 little raised bumps here. And all these things you don't really notice, but if you want to reproduce the studio model, the 6-foot studio model, these are things that you might want to consider adding on. I have a few other pictures here. This gives you a really good look at this Greeble here and a little bit of a closer look at these 6 bumps under the 1. Here you can see a double raised panel. There are 6 holes drilled into this little piece. Now there are screw holes and accesses, and we're not really going to reproduce all of those, but these little Greebles, I'd like to reproduce as many of them as I possibly can. Here on the back of the shuttle bay, obviously there are the screws that you can see here, but there is this other panel. There are 1, 2, 3, so 4 rows, 3 tall. We need to reproduce that if we can. Then we are going to move on to the back of the neck. And we have a bunch of stuff we have to add to the back of the neck here. So you've got 2 more of those interesting panels here. And then underneath the shuttle bays, we have these raised details. And then we've got these 2 square details that are on the back of the neck here. So we are going to look at reproducing those. Then on the side of the secondary hull, we again have some of these little raised details. These are a little bit different. They're like a slot with a dot, and I believe that there are 3 of them going down. Now we also have these round windows here, and I am planning on putting those in. I've already added the windows here, but I am planning on putting these in. However, I think it's going to be a lot easier to place those once I get the painting done. So I will paint the Aztec and then I will go through and I will drill out those holes because I'll be able to place those a lot easier in a straight line following the contours of the Aztecing there. And here's the Greeble test. There it is, just made out of some really thin styrene sheet. Cut the strip as thin as I thought it needs to be. Used a very small drill bit to make the holes, and I think that's going to work. It's just a very Small detail, considering the size of the ship, but it's these small details that can really make the difference. So there it is. Kind of looks like one of the white masks, doesn't it? But it's actually that little tiny greeble. So I'm gonna scour those images and try to find as many of those as I can and get them placed about where they need to be. And hopefully you'll see all those in the next update.
And that's going to be it for this update on the 1/650 scale Enterprise D projects. I can't tell you how happy I am to be done the armature and done those windows. It took a lifetime, it feels like, to get that armature R&D finally sorted out, and it was a long road getting from there to here on getting those windows filled in. There have to be thousands of windows that I filled in with Solar Res, and each area presents its own little challenge for getting those windows done right. We've also got the greebly bits figured out. I am so happy that we've got all that stuff done. It's amazing when you take the time and look at the studio model what you find, because you find things that you never imagined were actually part of the model. I never knew those greebles, those little tiny panels were there until I just noticed it. Noticed something in the photographs of the studio model. So if you're building something, if there are good pictures of a studio model that you can take reference of, look over every square inch and see what you can find, because finding those minute details and adding them to your build will separate your build from the rest. So I hope you've enjoyed this update. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to my channel or you haven't done so yet, why not hit that subscribe button today? You'll make me very happy if you do. Don't forget that if you're considering buying a Tesla, I have a referral link where you can save $1,000 on it. So make sure that you check that out. But for now, my name is Andrew, and this is Canadian Starships. 207 days, 11 hours, 23 minutes until the project has to be done for Wonderfest. Have a great day, everyone.